All right. You know about the LGBTQ, right? Excuse me. And you know about all these million sexualities, right? Well, here's um a reason why, like a breakdown on why all these other sexualities that are not homosexuality or heterosexualities, on why sexualities that are not those two sexualities don't exist. Let's start with what heterosexuality is. Heterosexuality is when you're attracted to someone who is of the opposite sex. Homosexuality is when you are attracted to someone of the same sex. Um, but when I did some research on the other sexualities, okay, I'm gonna go with bisexuality, okay? All right, hold on. Bisexuality doesn't exist, but but let's focus on that, okay? Let's remember this. Bisexuality is when you are attracted to both sexes, male and female. Let's think about this real quick. All right. So remember that. The thing about bisexuality, bisexual doesn't exist really, just homosexuality and heterosexuality. But it's like when it comes to, but like here's the thing about why sexualities that are not homosexuality and heterosexuality that doesn't exist. I did some research on these other sexualities. I did research on these other sexualities. Okay? I read the definitions in every pace. All right? I read them slow. I read them fast. And it still puts my mind in a brain fog. Because they all say the same thing. They just switch up the words. They just switch up the words. They just say the same thing, but they just switch up the words. This is what I hear. Like they're all similar in a complicated way. How do I say this? Every time I see a sexuality, every time I see a definition of a sexuality that is not homosexuality or heterosexuality, they all say the same thing. They all say, I'm bisexual. I'm bisexual. Sometimes I am gay. Sometimes I am straight. Sometimes I am sexually attracted to non binary. Sometimes I am sexually attracted to girls. Sometimes I'm sexually attracted to boys. Sometimes I only date boys. Sometimes I only date girls. Sometimes, how I say this? Uh, like, sometimes I'm only sexually attracted to myself. Sometimes, sometimes I only identify as gay. Sometimes I only identify as straight. Sometimes I get aroused at this. Sometimes I get aroused at the sight of this person. Sometimes I get aroused. They all say the same thing. Like they all say, like, how do I say this? So I'm gonna stick with bisexual doesn't exist, and I'm gonna say bi preference. Okay, bi preference really have the same. Like God help me out with this word. God help me make this word up. Um, thank you, Lord. God, like, how do I say this? Bi preference has the same meaning as bisexual. It's just that bi preference is a slang. Bisexual is just another sexuality. Bi preference means I prefer both genders, or all genders, or wherever you prefer it. But me, I believe in two genders because I'm Christian and I believe in the Bible. But you LGBT, you believe in all genders, you can use bi preference to believe in all genders. But I'ma still preach my part, like I believe in two genders. So yeah, bi preference means both would date both genders. So all these other genders really mean I would date. So like all these other genders mean bi-curious, but doesn't know bi-curious, but doesn't know what they really want. Like bi-curious, but doesn't really know their preference. But once they really have a preference, it's complicated. You get what I'm saying? That's what I'm seeing in all these other definitions in these sexualities. Literally the same thing. If you LGBTQ and you make a video trying to explain this to me, like, let me tell you something. I don't care if you know this for word to word. You can't explain this to me. You can know this. You can explain this to me word for word in these definitions. You can't explain this to me. I'm not going to get it. All I'm hearing is you date both genders. You date everyone. You believe in all genders, and you date anyone who identifies as anything. That's all I get. That's all I'm thinking. You bisexual, you date anyone who's bisexual and just identifies as anything. That's all I'm hearing. Okay, like you can be all like, but I don't think like you can be all like, oh, you ignorant. But here's the thing. You can repeat this definition of these. You can repeat the definition of these sexualities word for word all you want, but you don't even really get it yourself. You just know the definition by heart, but you don't even understand this yourself. If I was gay, I wouldn't understand this myself. Binary, none of that. I'd be like, I don't even know why I'm even believing in this stuff. I'm going to Jesus. Like, these sexualities are so complicated. This is why I don't believe in none of them. And here's the thing about sexual attraction. That all genders, well, not all genders, I shouldn't be saying that. Like, all sexualities, well, that all sexualities got in common. I'm like, that even heterosexuals have in common. All right. This is something that heterosexuals won't even tell you. Okay. Like, I'm gonna be real. Okay. I ain't LGBTQ. I don't support that stuff. But I'm gonna be real with you. When you say that everybody a little gay, to a degree, I agree with you. Like, here's the thing. Everybody's a little sexually attracted to the same sex. Even though we do not show it over here, we don't do a little... We don't do none of that. You may not always see the erections in men. Like, I'ma be real. we do get sexually attracted to the same sex without even showing it, but it's not going to be obvious. We can get sexually aroused by the same sex, but the thing is, the difference between us and the gay community is that we do not feed in to what our private parts think. We do not feed in to what our private parts want, because we cannot, we just cannot, we're scared to sleep with someone of the same sex. We just can't do it. By me, okay, like, I'm gonna be real. All right, I don't care what kind of gay dreams I've had. Okay, I don't care what kind of gay dreams I had. If a gay girl ever asked me out for a one night stand, I'd be like, nope, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I only let myself have this gay dream because I'm struggling with self control. Once I'm aroused, I'm gone. That's it. Like, here's the thing, I don't even have gay dreams that often. Rarely, but as long as I don't think none dirty or even think about relationships before I go to bed, I'm good. As long as I pray before I go to bed, I'm good. Like, I also gotta pray for God to back me up, just in case Satan shows up uninvited. So yeah. But here's the thing. Every heterosexual, like, you're right, every heterosexual is a little gay. Like, we do get a little aroused when we see somebody of the same sex acting a little sexy in front of us. We may not be acting a little thirsty over here. We may be a little, or we may not react at all. But sometimes we do be acting fun. Well, not acting. Sometimes we do be feeling funny. But we wouldn't tell you. But we wouldn't tell you. We just don't feed into it, and we don't identify with it because we just cannot. We just cannot live that life. We just cannot live that life sleeping with the same sex. If a heterosexual person ever tells you that they never get physically aroused by the same sex, they're lying. If a man watches Magic Mike and he never gets aroused by it, he's either lying or he's got an erectile dysfunction. And here's the thing. Men do not need to have an erection in order to get aroused by another man acting sexy all the time. And you know how these sexualities, these other sexualities, be talking about how sometimes they can get aroused by one dude acting sexy, and then another dude, and then not react, and then not get aroused by another dude acting sexy. Like, dude, we heterosexuals can do the same thing. Like, we heterosexuals go through the same thing. Like, if there was two naked dudes in front of me, same body type. If there was two naked dudes in front of me, same body type, like, I could get aroused. I could get physically aroused down there by one dude right in front of me, and then just not give a crap about the other one. Okay? You're not that special. You're not that special. We heterosexuals, our private parts are just as complicated as yours. Our physical attractions are just as complicated as yours. But the difference between ours and yours is that we don't feed into the same sex attractions as y'all. Like, how do I say this? like we go for, like, we heterosexuals, we go for who we are. We go for the opposite sex. And here's the thing. Our genitals are bi-curious. They are by preference. Our genitals are just as gay as yours. And any heterosexual says, I am 100% straight, that person, I'm 100% straight, I don't get gay like that, they lying, or they got an erectile dysfunction just to prove a point. But even if they didn't, they probably would have gay genitals just like yours. Okay? The reason why our genitals get aroused by everything that is sexy around us is a sign that we do not have an erectile dysfunction. That's all there is. Okay? The reason why our genitals have a mind of its own is let us know we do not have an erectile dysfunction. And asexual, here's the thing about asexual. Asexual is literally by preference. Asexual is literally by preference that just don't want sex. Okay? You can even be, like, even a heterosexual can have some asexual in them without the bi in it. And then there's demisexual. Like, demisexual is by preference. Demisexual is by preference. Like, how do I say this? It's by preference, with where you have to have an emotional connection or emotional intimacy before having sex. And it's like, how do I say this? That could literally be a heterosexual. That could literally be a heterosexual without the bi. It don't have to be, like, that could literally be a heterosexual without the bi. Seriously, that could be a literal heterosexual without the bi. So yeah, this is why I say all these other sexualities don't really exist, because of a huge spectrum of these sexualities. It just makes it so complicated to the point, like, when you read these definitions, they just don't make sense. Like, you can't even read these without your mind going to brain fog. Just read it. Read the definitions. Look at how similar they are. They just switch the words around. Like, no matter how different you try to make it, they're always, like, at least like 99% similar. They're always 99% similar in a complicated way. And here's the thing. If you LGBT and you don't agree with what I'm saying, that's cool. That's cool. We don't have to argue. That is your choice. You want to be demisexual, pansexual, bisexual. We don't have to argue. That is your choice. You want to be you want to be all that. That is totally okay. We do not have to argue. We don't have to do none of that. All right. I'ma still preach the truth, whether you like it or not. But what I'ma say is this. What I'm gonna say is this. We can agree to disagree. All right, and I wish the best for you. And God bless.